This video will explore how to use and initially set up the grades tool. Now, first and foremost, just as a preamble, it's important to note that for this video, the assumption is that you are actually doing the grades calculation piece of things for the student's midterm and final grade in another program, such as Gradebook or PowerSchool Pro or an Excel file. This video does not go over specifically how to get calculated final grades, but instead how to set it up so that as students complete work in the assignments folder or quizzes, that they can actually see their grades as they go, but not how each of those grades actually calculates out to their final grade. So that's an important distinction to make, especially when we get into the setup of the grades. So in order to get started with setting up the Grades app, which is the first thing you should do really early on when setting up a course in Brightspace, is click on the Grades tool up in the nav bar. It will immediately bring you into the setup wizard, which is obviously not set up that first time you go in. So scroll down to the bottom and press start. And this will begin a 7-step process in setting up the grade system. Again, I'm going to show you what I would do, and based on a setup where students are able to see their grades on individual things, again, like discussions, assignments, quizzes, but not a final grade. That Brightspace, I'm not relying on Brightspace in calculating that final grade, but instead just showing grades as they go. So to begin, you're going to want to pick points. Again, because I'm not doing a weighted system where I'm having to worry about Kika or anything like that, I'm really just looking at percentage points that something's out of 40 and they get 24 and get that 80%, that type of idea. So we're going to stick with points for this. In step 2, this is actually showing whether you want to release the final grades and how it's calculated and stuff like that. You have to choose this, even though you're not relying on the tool to actually come out with a calculated final grade. It still is going to spit one out. In this case, it'll be a really simple one of, if there is 300 points worth of assignments, when a student gets 300, then they got 100% in the course. Obviously, you're not going to rely on that for your final grade, but calculation, but it does make you set it up as part of it. So we're going to keep it just as calculated final grade. In step 3, a really simple one, but I would generally argue, especially if you're using this just to display assignment marks and a variety of different tools, to switch it over to drop to ungraded. Otherwise, if you create a discussion and they have the week to do it, before you mark it, it will show as a 0% to them. So for students who maybe don't understand that process or come in a little late and think you've already given them a 0, I just think it's better to switch it over to ungraded, and it doesn't give them a 0% that'll show up under grades. The other big piece is, if you really are not going to use that final grade piece or have like a concept, use it as sort of just another piece of evidence, you can either turn that on or off as part of it. I might keep it on again just to see, like, on the Brightspace assignments, what are they kind of averaging. And again, I'll show you in a minute about not showing that to students, though, using it only as an assessment marker for myself. So choose whether you want that on or off, doesn't matter. In step 4, choose the grade default. We just want it as a percentage, especially in secondary. This, I would just keep it as 0.2, so that way you can, if you really want to dial down into specifics, I always keep it at the 2. This one's really important because admittedly Brightspace makes this a little confusing with the language, and a lot of people skip past this. So this right here is really important. It's actually defaulted as off. And by having this off, what that means is when students go to grades, they will not actually see their grades if these are not checked. So we actually want them to see a points grade. So that's, again, it's an odd wording for it. It essentially means, do you want them to see their grade? And then I do check these as well. It will actually give them a color scheme. Green for doing well, level 3 and above. I believe yellow when they're starting to get into that level 2 category. And if they fail an assignment, it'll show us red. But these have to be checked for them to actually see grades in the grade tool, which is not very clear. So you want to check all of those, and that way they'll be able to see them all. And the other really important one, you don't want this checked. Okay. Uh, as I said, this video assumes that you're not using this as your final grade calculation. And if you have this checked, if a student does 4 assignments, in here it will show, calculated final grade 82%. The student may very well assume that they have 82 in the course, and it's very likely that you have other evidence of observation and conversation somewhere else in the course, or it does not include all of your assessment in the grades tool in Brightspace. So I will always stress to actually have that off. You will see the final grade calculation because we already set that up, and it will calculate as it goes, but the students will not. So again, I would definitely uncheck that. And step 7 is just overviewing everything. If you follow the video, this video, then you'll have it all set up the way you want. Press finish. And that's it. The setup's done. From there, you can go to manage grades. This is where you add additional grades. You're always going to see the final calculated and final adjusted, but you would just go to new. And then you can split it up by category if you end up wanting to do, like, category could be different units even. I don't tend to do that just because I don't generally have more than 12 assessments in an entire course anyway, so I'm not too worried. So again, you just go to item. Always generally select numeric, especially in our secondary. That's usually where you're going to be. You would name it from there. Category, I usually leave blank. Grading is what the assignment is out of or whatever it's connected to. Okay, if you have created a rubric, the rubric tool is a lot better than it used to be in Brightspace. And if you make a good rubric, it can actually save you quite a bit of time. This is already set because you went through the setup wizard, so it's going to automatically show them the grades. Okay, and then you would just save and close. And then at that point, once it's in there, you go to enter grades and you can enter it. Or if you have a quiz and it's automatically exporting over to this tool, those grades will just show up automatically. Or you go into discussions and mark it there. Again, as long as you have a grade item attached to that assignment in discussions or assignments, they'll show up here in grades. So it's a great place for students to kind of come and see, hey, what did I get on all these things? And they'll be able to do that with the setup that we just went through. Thanks for watching.